I tell you this year has been crazy, I mean it's been crazy. Moving into a new apartment, deciding to launch a few new social media accounts, spraining my ankle, breaking my arm, my kids starting pre-K. It's been a lot. Somehow, in all the madness, I have managed to keep up one of my favorite hobbies and read 17 books. Five more than I ever intended for this year. I did set a goal of just 12, and I'm glad to have blown past it. Now, to kick off the channel, I did want to give a little homage to what I originally intended for it to be exclusively and take you guys through the books that I've read so far this year and some of my thoughts on them. Hello, dear viewer. My name is Sparrow, and this is Sparrow Catches Up, a channel where I delve into all of the things that make your hearts race. As I mentioned before, I've read 17 novels this year, most of them horror fiction of various types, and I'll be walking you through what I've read and giving you a little summary of each while also including a few of my thoughts on them. I'm going to try and not ramble too much, but no guarantees. Starting in January, getting all the way down to what I read most recently in August. Without further ado, let's get started. First novel that I picked up this year on Libby was The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monika Kim. It should show up somewhere right here if I do this right, because I do not have a physical copy of it, even though I really want one. We follow a young woman, Ji-woon, as she deals with the aftermath of her father leaving her family for his affair partner. Predictably, home life starts just breaking down. Her relationship with her sister and her mother is next to non-existent, but she has more problems. You see, Ji-woon can't stop thinking about eyes. She can't stop thinking about how they'd feel sliding down her throat. When her mother's boyfriend, George, starts getting more and more involved with the family, things will never be the same. The Eyes Are the Best Part goes into what it means to build a family back up from practically nothing. It goes into what it means to be an Asian woman in society and the different ways that you are treated, from the expected racism and misogyny to the things cloaked in good intentions but ending in fetishization. Monika Kim definitely has a lot to say, and it is worth listening to because it's wrapped in the grossest horror package I've ever seen. I loved this. I loved every moment that it made me go, ugh! It's so fun while still having a lot of poignant things to say. Please go give it a read. Worth your time. Monika Kim, I can't wait to check out your other stuff. I'm so excited for where things go. I followed that up with Lee Mandelo's The Woods All Black. If Appalachian queer horror doesn't just immediately catch your attention, maybe my little summary will. We follow Leslie Brun, a member of the Frontier Nursing Service, who is assigned to an isolated town as his newest post after a little bit of a screw up. When he gets there, it's clear that there's something rotten deep in the heart of Spar Creek, and that's not just how they treat Leslie as a trans man or how they treat their local tomboy. No, you see, the forest keeps calling out to Leslie, and there's something in there, something dark, something violent, and it's about to spill over. I will admit that I had a hard time at the beginning of this one. It took me the most time to get through the beginning, but once I kind of found the footing that it wanted to set out for me, I started running and I finished the rest of it. I think at like 4 a.m. was when I was done. I couldn't put it down after a certain point. It's very well done. I think it would scare some people. It didn't scare me in the ooh, spooky monster or ooh, spooky gore sort of sense. It disquieted me in a lot of ways, both reading it as a queer person myself, and also just as someone living in modern society today. There's a lot of things that haven't changed, and wrapping it in this fantastical horror package while making it a little easier to stomach it's scary in a very real way. I kicked February off with The Queen by Nick Cutter. I mentioned in my introduction video that I'm a huge Nick Cutter fan. The Queen didn't change that, it just made it worse. The whole thing with The Queen is we're following Margaret Carpenter, who finds an iPhone on her doorstep, and on that iPhone are text messages from her missing, presumed dead friend Charity Atwater. Charity proceeds to then send her on this wild hunt after the truth of what really happened to Charity. And along the way, Margaret is taken to these dark, gruesome places and circumstances that just boggle the mind. And it all happens over the course of one breakneck day. See, the thing about Charity is that she has a secret. And that secret is deeper than her skin. And that secret is deeper than her bones. That secret is all the way in her DNA, and it's about to make itself known to the world in one startling incident, to put it mildly. It has a lot of Nick Horrors? Your name's Nick Horror now, sir. Nick Cutter's signature body horror that makes you kind of want to yart sometimes. There is a scene that will forever stick with me about shed skin. It's a really fun novel that I think earns every last bit of your attention. And it's a surprisingly well done coming of age novel for young women written by a man, which I never expect. Usually I expect there to be some little eye-rolling stuff during it. Nick Cutter just kind of gets it in a way that I find fascinating and really well done. I think it's my favorite coming of age novel. I followed The Queen with Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, which is a wild read that is difficult to summarize. We have our protagonist, Natsuki, who believes that she's from planet Poppinpobopia, and she found this out from her stuffed hedgehog, Piu, that she carries around. Eventually, she believes that a spaceship is going to come and take her back home. But in the meantime, her life on Earth is one full of taboo and tragedy and this quiet terror of what it means to live in a society that deems you as other. In the end, though, she only has one goal: survive no matter what. Earthlings will turn your stomach with how real its horror gets. And though it does eventually get very absurd, it never loses that foot in reality that makes it truly chilling. I've heard people say that Earthlings isn't exactly a horror novel, that none of Sayaka Murata's work is really traditionally horror, and I can definitely see that. It is extremely disturbing, though, and I'm thrilled to say that. I want to read more of Murata's work. Seeking something that would rip my guts out a little bit less, I then picked up Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Which is funny, if you've read that book, to say that. Andrew Perot is a writer. His best friend, Thomas Rye, is an artist. Andrew writes horrible, twisted, dark fairy tales, and Thomas brings all of those fairy tales to life with his drawings. Rounding out their trio is Andrew's twin sister, Dove. We begin with Andrew and Dove and Thomas returning to boarding school, except nothing is going right. Dove won't speak to either of them. Thomas shows up late and has lost all interest in his art, and Andrew can't cope, even worse than usual. He finally confronts Thomas about everything going on and discovers that Thomas's drawings are coming to life and they are hungry. It's a story of obsession, of secrets, of the guilt that festers in our gut and has no place to grow but out of our mouth, and Thomas and Andrew just might choke on it. It's a queer horror story. It's a young adult horror story that's written very, very well and very, very competently. I know young adult tends to get a very bad rap, and while I disagree with young adult having that reputation, I do know that for a lot of people, they need that sort of disclaimer. It's scary. It's heartbreaking. I think it's the hardest I've cried reading a book this year so far. Please, 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 I can't beg you enough, pick it up. Now, I finished out February with The Deep by Alma Katsu. It's a historical horror fiction retelling the disasters of the Titanic and the Britannic in a haunting new light. Annie, a survivor of the Titanic's sinking, takes a job on the Britannic hospital ship at the urging of another survivor who has kept up correspondence with her since the initial disaster of the Titanic. When she gets on board, the familiar face of a soldier in the care of the hospital keeps bringing up memories of the days leading up to that fateful night in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. And it seems like something was happening on that ship, and it is still happening now. I didn't find the horror to be particularly effective, but that did not mean that I didn't enjoy every single moment of this novel. Oh my goodness. Alma Katsu has a real talent for crafting gripping narratives. It seems that she almost exclusively, if not exclusively, does historical horror fiction. I plan to pick up The Hunger, which is a fictionalized retelling of the Donner Party at some point. And while I expect that one to be a little more scary, what I really am craving is more of how she delves into these characters who, yes, were real people, but she makes them her own in just really stunning ways. You come to really, really care for these people, and that's only made more tragic by knowing how it ends. So, coming off of one ice cold horror, I decided to give Our Winter Monster by Dennis Mahoney a try. It's a 2025 release, which is new for me. I don't usually catch up with books that are released the year that I'm currently in. I'm usually quite a bit behind, thus Sparrow catches up. We follow a couple, Holly and Brian, who are driving to a little winter getaway. We learn that they have been having some troubles in their relationship, and they're hoping that this vacation, true to the trope, is going to smooth things over and rekindle things for them. But what they can't begin to understand is that they are driving into the mouth of a monster. This is semi-creature horror. It's very fun. It's a very light read. I've described it to some people as a sort of horror novel beach read, and I still find that quite appropriate. It was originally conceptualized as a script rather than a novel, but Mahoney was urged to turn it into a novel instead. And I think going into it with that sort of knowledge makes a lot of it make more sense. When you go in without that, it's almost a disappointing read, but it's passable enough that you're like, I didn't waste my time. But putting it in that context, I'm like, okay, no, I do have more of an appreciation for it coming from that angle. Wanting to keep the freezing ball rolling, but wanting sort of a different format, I picked up Taaqtumi, an anthology of winter horror. I mentioned that in my channel introduction video. It's a collection of short stories by native authors, and it's fantastic. There really is something in it for everyone. I mean, it has letters from a serial killer, a truly terrifying and brutal zombie outbreak, a door where it shouldn't be, something waiting for you out in the cold. If you like horror, there is a type of horror that you like in this anthology. Please go check it out. Give at least one or two stories a read. I promise you, you won't regret it. I guess I just really wanted to be cold in March because I followed that one up with No Exit by Taylor Adams. Darby Thorne is on the way to visit her sick mother when she is trapped in the middle of nowhere and forced to take refuge in a truck stop with four complete strangers overnight thanks to a blizzard. There's no cell reception, no way to contact anyone on the outside, and even worse, on a walk to her car, she notices a little girl in a cage in one of the cars there with her. Someone is a kidnapper, and Darby has to find out who before it's too late so she can save that little girl. It's gripping, I started this and finished it in one sitting. It does not let up once it gets started. I was constantly on the edge of my seat. I think Taylor Adams is really, really excellent at crafting action sequences in writing, which sometimes are hard for me to follow, but I didn't have any issues with that in Adams's writing here. There is a movie version of this that I've heard is fairly accurate to the novel itself. The friend of mine who recommended the novel to me initially said that the movie is excellent. I maybe might check it out sometime and talk about it on the channel. Who knows? Giving myself a brief break from the frozen settings, I picked up Penpal by Dathan Auerbach next. Originally a no-sleep novel, Penpal puts us in the hands of our narrator going through his childhood and realizing that things that he thought weren't related are starting to make a chilling amount of sense. This one's really difficult to talk about without giving a whole lot away. Suffice to say, it's a parent's worst nightmare in novel form. There are some moments from this that, when I remember them, still make me want to go check on my kid immediately. In fact, I would love to do that right now if he wasn't at school, but here we are. It's short and sweet and worth the read. I'm sorry, I just realized my camera was a little tilted, so if you were a little bit dizzy watching me a moment ago, my apologies. I have hopefully fixed it. Here's the thing about the cold. You can't keep it out for long, and I went back. I finished it out with Madhouse at the End of the Earth by Julian Sancton. This follows the expedition of the Belgica, a Belgian ship, to the Antarctic, and all of the trials and tribulations that they encountered both pre-expedition, during the expedition, all the way up to the end of it. Both has two things. Sparrow, why did you say three? There's a lot of historical stuff in here, a lot of description, but it never feels too heavy or bogged down. Julian Sancton has a really good way of delivering information without making it too technical or dry. I cried during this. I laughed during this. I really, really loved it. If you're a fan of The Terror or the Franklin Expedition, check this out. They just went in the other direction, but also they came back. So, we have pictures. It's really cool. In April, I managed just one book because we were moving into the new apartment, but it is definitely a banger! Victorian Psycho by Virginia Feito. I've talked about this before. I will talk about it again. I'm sorry. Winifred Naughty is the new governess for Enzer House, taking care of the children there, Drusilla and Andrew. Classic start to a gothic horror. The catch? Winifred's not walking into a horror story. She's bringing it with her. I laughed out loud during this. I cringed. It's so fun. It's so fun. I cannot stress that enough. It's a very quick read. I finished this in about 3 hours, and that includes tabbing it and all of my notes that I wrote in it that you can kind of see. I have a couple sticky notes in there. I do plan to do a deep dive on this novel and its themes of misogyny and classism and how they intersect to create this sort of perfect storm for both Winifred and Drusilla. If you are interested in that, I will hopefully be releasing it sometime next month, maybe in October. It all depends on how quickly I can get the script done. But 5-star read. Check it out. I ended up taking a bit of a forced 2-month break after spraining my ankle and then breaking my arm, which landed me in the hospital. My husband, wonderful, wonderful person that they are, decided, you know what? My bird's gonna need some companionship in the hospital. I better bring them some books. And correct. I had 3 in there with me. I did only finish 2 of them, and the first of those was episode 13 by Craig DiLouie. This was also mentioned in my channel introduction video. I gave it as an example of an epistolary novel that I finished recently. We follow Fade to Black, a paranormal team that's doing a ghost hunting show, their 13th episode, where they have gotten access to the notorious Paranormal Research Foundation, a since abandoned building when everyone inside of it just vanished without a trace. It's considered a holy grail for the paranormal community. The team intends to uncover its mysteries while they're inside, but it's more than they could have ever bargained for. It's told over video transcripts and text messages and emails and letters. There is so much to uncover in episode 13. It's actually relatively quick read, which is why I was able to get through it so fast despite what it looks like. A lot of it is, these very quick sequential things. While it does have some denser parts, you'll find yourself just flying through it. I am haunted by the ending of this. There's just a beautiful tragedy to it all, leading up to about the final 3 or 4 pages. And then the final 3 or 4 pages, if I had not been on pain meds, I don't know if I would have been able to sleep. It's so good. I should check out more of his stuff. I followed that one up with Hell House by Richard Matheson, a veritable juggernaut in the haunted house genre. I was very ready to be extremely scared by this one because I'd heard that it is very, very scary. Belasco House is ready to receive its newest challengers to prove its haunting and perhaps even rid it of it. The mansion isn't one to go away quietly, however, and as the team works their way through the house, things start to go horribly, horribly wrong very, very quickly. It's definitely a grisly horror and did have me legitimately scared in a few places. I do think Matheson has a excellent grasp of horror sequences and ways to really, really thrill you, almost sometimes jump scare you in text form. But I will say I was ultimately disappointed. I think he struggles with writing his women in a human capacity, and the ending of it, he didn't stick the ending, we'll put it that way. I don't have a lot of plans to check out any more of Matheson's stuff, unfortunately, because of that, but the scare sequences are pretty solid. Craving a little bit of something new, I found a suggestion on Reddit for Abandoned by Blake Crouch as a horror novel that isn't really a horror novel, and I think that description is quite apt. It's definitely a thriller. It makes no illusions about that, but there are some moments in it that sit with you in a way that just kind of disquiets your soul. We follow a split narrative between past and present day. In the present, we are following a history professor, and his daughter and a small team working through to uncover the secrets of Abandon. And in the past, we're following the key residents of Abandon on the days leading up to Christmas in 1893, when all of a sudden every single person in Abandon vanished. There's only one problem. The past has a way of coming back with teeth. Abandon was such a good novel. This is probably the second contender for made me cry the hardest this year. My husband had to turn around and ask me if I was okay multiple times. I had a lot of fun with it. I would love to see if they made a movie about it, or if they would make a movie about it. I think it's an excellent candidate for film. Blake Crouch is definitely a very mainstream type writer in terms of style, and it's very accessible and very fun. Give it a go if you want something to just kind of give you a little thrill. My final 2 reads have both been nonfiction. I have The Hot Zone by Richard Preston, and I have The Road to Jonestown by Jeff Guinn. The Hot Zone is about the Ebola outbreak, both from our initial discovery of it in Patient Zero all the way up to the Reston Monkey House. It does not spare you any disgusting details, so if you're easily made queasy, maybe steer clear of this one, but if you're interested, definitely check it out. He presents the concepts that would normally be very advanced in a very good way for laymen to understand. He presents information in a very interesting way. It never feels like a boring nonfiction novel about a scientific concept. There are moments where I was sitting there going, oh my god, what happens next? Oh my god, what happens next? He crafts a very followable narrative through it. I have his follow-up novel to it, Demon in the Freezer, waiting in my Libby library right now, and I cannot wait to crack that one open. The Road to Jonestown, similarly accessible, but biographies tend to be that anyway. It is a biography of Jim Jones, the founder of the People's Temple, the orchestrator of the tragedy at Jonestown. It's hard to get through. If you're not familiar with Jonestown, it's where the phrase "don't drink the Kool-Aid" originates from. Not that they said that, but they are the reason that we say it. The scariest thing about The Road to Jonestown as I was reading it was just how starkly I could see myself having gotten swept up in the People's Temple. Religious parts of it aside, because I'm not very religious myself, they did a lot of really good community and social outreach and legitimately tried to improve people's lives. And I could see myself having gotten involved in that and possibly ended up on the ground in Guyana. And that scares me a lot. Definitely check it out if you're interested in cults or how people might come to be involved in something like that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not stupid people that cults want. It's you and me. And that's all of the novels that I have finished so far in 2025, January to August. Obviously, I am reading more at the moment. Like I said, I have Demon in the Freezer waiting for me on Libby. I also have Under the Banner of Heaven by John Krakauer waiting for me. That one is about the FLDS church, more in, the cult sort of territory, but those are waiting for me to finish this. This is Nod by Adrian Barnes. It's about a incident that happens where all of a sudden most of the world's population no longer sleeps, and they feel the effects of it. It's not that you no longer have to sleep, it's that you no longer can. Everyone who can sleep is having the same golden dream. It's very interesting. I can't wait to get more through it. I'm about that far in right now, so I have a little ways to go, but I suspect this one's going to be a quick read. So I do want to know, what are you guys reading? Do you have any favorites so far this year that you want to share? I would love to hear back from you all. If you like this video, please stick around. I'll be doing book reviews, movie discussion, deep dives, and more about all the things that make you look over your shoulder at night. I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comments. Please, please share your book thoughts. I always want more book recommendations. Thank you all for creeping it real. I'll talk to you next time. Bye!